your 20s and your 30s are like all over the place. People are getting married and settling down and buying homes and having kids in their 20s. Some people aren't even considering that till their 30s. There is no consistency.
Of Girls Gotta Eat.
Oh, you sound so sad. Oh, we're just gonna start strong. The tears flowing.
It's our 6-year anniversary episode. We can't record it at home. I feel so sad. We're blessed. Spotify has given us studios.
Yes. And please listen to this episode on Spotify. They saved us from our natural disaster of our studio flooding, and we'll talk about it, but I'm just trying to like hold it together. I feel like very weirdly emotional where I'm trying to also like figure out if there's something else going on because like I've just been like really upset about our couch. Like it's really hitting me hard, but what can you do?
Spotify last second swept in and
Yes.
They were like, anything you need, studio space, whatever. And they've been so great. I have never made direct eye contact with you. During recording. I hate it.
No, we're like sitting across. This is like a first date. Like, why are we at?
I hate this. Don't look at me.
We're like an awkward dinner.
Tessa, can you give me sunglasses?
Yeah. I'm actually just gonna sit on the floor.
You could just look at the wall.
Yeah, I'll just look over here and make it really awkward. And we got these balloons
For our 6-year anniversary.
which was actually Sparkle Eye's idea. Because I was like, we're not going to be in the studio. And we're sad about it. He was like, you could get balloons and like make it special. And then we're in this recording studio with these fucking balloons.
You guys should watch. It looks like it's like a radio studio.
Yeah.
There are other studios here that we'll have in the future as we dry out the studio space. But
Happy 6th year to WWJD, KR, all the hits. Play the hits of the 90s, 2000s, and today. Oh my gosh.
Well, let's thank some of our partners, our wonderful partners. A lot of these have stuck with us for years, so thanks, guys. We'd like to thank Skims for supporting our show. Skims has over 100,000 5-star reviews for a reason. Skims bras are now available at skims.com, plus get free shipping on orders over $75. I have my Skims bra on and no panties, just like you.
Oh, I have nothing on but a bodysuit.
I'm just nipples for
No,
days.
yeah.
And thanks to Babbel for supporting our show. Here's a special limited time deal for you. Right now, get 50% off a one-time payment for a lifetime Babbel subscription for our audience at babbel.com/GGE.
Yes, and big shout out today to Helix Sleep. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz and they'll match you to a mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. Helix is offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows. For our listeners, go to helixsleep.com/GGE and use code HelixPartner20. And we'd like to thank Nutrafol for supporting Girls Gotta Eat. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement clinically shown to improve visible thickness and strength. Go to Nutrafol.com/quiz to take the quiz and use code GGE to get $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping.
So California is under a state of emergency.
Well, it's
All
sunny
of
today
California.
for the first day.
Yeah, what even is that?
Yeah.
Did you know that I read the statistic? We've gotten 8 inches of rain in the last 5 days, and the California yearly average is 14 inches.
Oh, yeah.
Yearly average.
No, it's unprecedented. It is biblical.
So
It is really like what is happening. Noah's Ark shit. I mean, it's wild.
I was
And
acting.
I haven't even been. I wasn't here for most of it. I got home at the tail end,
Yeah.
and you were just in the thick of it.
I mean, the way I was being psychotic with my landlord yesterday about getting disaster relief services in my home to drain it. But then I was like, oh my God, Rayna, everybody in California needs this. Calm down.
Yeah.
So yeah, our studio space completely flooded from the ground and the ceiling.
No,
it just was coming from everywhere.
coming from all angles. You know it's bad when it's coming up from the floor.
The floor.
Where you don't even know where it's coming
I
from.
couldn't identify so I was in there and it was dry near the door and the window and the actual, it's a garage space sort of. It's a casita essentially, but all the inflection points of water normally was sealed off. So I was like, there's just a crack in the foundation. It's just coming up.
Yeah.
So the craziest thing happened, Friday, I was running to the airport to go to Miami to meet you, where we also got rained out of our show.
Yeah.
The amount of rain-related trauma I'm dealing with. I told you that I don't want to take showers anymore.
No, showering is off the table for you. You already hated it. I'm like, Rayna's going to start smelling. And I support it.
Thank you. I was talking to Arlen this morning, my brother, and he was like, well, you hate showering. I was like, yeah, I'm never doing it again. I'm against it. So the craziest thing happened. I was on my way to the airport to meet you in Miami, and I'd called the Uber, and my neighbor, who's no longer my neighbor, he's just my friend. He's been living with me for weeks. Yeah. It's fine. We're just, listen, I have like a built-in buddy. I kicked him out yesterday, but.
No one has ranted more about having men in their home than you, and no one has had more men stay with them. Rayna, he was, what's the sixth guy since you moved into that house?
Today was the first day in, I'm going to say, a month. I woke up and someone wasn't in my house.
It's only men. You haven't even had a female house guest. It's just been like Bill Greenberg, Rob, Francis, Jonathan, who then moved in, Jeremy. Like, the list goes on and on. Like, it literally is like, Rayna, I don't want men in my home, Greenberg. And then you're like, you know what? You should move in. Francis, Harvard-educated Francis landed to do a show in L.A., didn't have a hotel. He's on the group chat with us. We're about to go to lunch. He's like, I guess I'll stay over on this side of town. We're like, you guess. Rayna's like, you can stay with me. I'm like, there she goes again.
I gotta tell you the funniest thing happened. So I've gotten multiple gifts sent to my house, and I don't know who they're coming from.
I got that sex stone.
Oh, my God.
I meant to tell you. Someone sent us both, like, sex stones.
Well, first I got this box of, like, forever roses. You know, it's just the tops of those roses. They're expensive and they smell great. And I was like, who sent these to me? And my first thought was like Francis. I was like, he just stayed with me. And he was like, I'm married. I didn't send you a box of roses.
You back up to that, though. That is so funny that you asked, did you send me flowers? He's like, I have a wife, and I crashed at your place one night. I didn't send you forever roses.
That is so funny. He was my first ask.
Like, can you imagine his wife sees that text? Rayna, hey, did you send me flowers? She's like, excuse me, babe?
Just so we're clear, I thought it was insane too. But I was like, maybe, because he's so sweet and wonderful.
No, he is, yeah.
He would do something like that. And then I knew it wasn't Jeremy because he doesn't respect me at all.
It's mutual. You don't respect anyone less than him. You wanted to fuck a guy that was trolling him.
I did.
You hate each other.
I went on a date with a guy that was trolling
The way that Jeremy disrespects your home is something to behold.
I was taking so many photos for Jackie. I was like, his feet are everywhere. Everywhere I look, his giant ass feet.
The comforter on the floor, the way I would cut someone out of my life.
The wet towel just
you stayed in my home and you left and the comforter was on the floor. Like, you hate me. Just say it.
He was like, I got you free sandwiches all week when I was here.
That's fair.
So no gifts from him. Who else stayed with me? Rob would never send me flowers.
But Rob
sent me Domino's.
Rob is water bottle king. Open, take a sip, leave it.
If he sent me a case of Dasani just to troll me.
Well, he texted me. He goes, Ashley, I did not know.
I didn't know what you were going to say.
He said, Ashley, I did not know Rayna drank Aquafina.
I can't believe this is coming up.
I said, Rob, I can't talk about it.
I thought I got away with it.
You know what else, Rob? There's tap water in those Aquafina bottles. Aquafina is the same level as Dasani, just if anyone cares. It's like Pepsi versus Coke. Who owns them or whatever. So it's the same. I like to shit on Dasani, but Aquafina is equally as bad. It's not spring water. It's just shitty whatever. Okay. And you drink the Aquafina for one, and then you refill it with LA's disgusting tap water, and you put it back in the fridge. The way you hydrate is horrifying.
Well, I've gotten really into recycling, so I've been...
That's triggering for me.
I'm sorry.
If you know, you know.
I've been, like, washing out containers. I'm recycling really good.
Let's move on.
So I got these flowers. I don't know who they're from. And then I got this sex rock.
Yeah.
And it's like this sex rock soap.
The brand is Kate McLeod.
Right.
What is? But then I was like, is that who sent it? I don't know. So.
And then I was like, Ashley, like, do you think Ryan's trying to get me back? Because I've been talking to him as much.
Ryan's trying to get you back. If Ryan was trying to get you back, he would just pull the van up and be like, I'm here, baby.
I would love that. That would make me so happy. He was like, I've thought about it, and you are the one.
Well, you guys think she's joking, and it's the way that I know she thinks about this late at night. She's letting you into her fantasy world under the guise of a joke.
No, it's not a joke. He knows it's not a joke. Ryan, if you're listening, I love you. We're having fun. Anyway, so Yonatan has been an amazing guest. He's been like really honestly so wonderful and clean. And like I got home from Miami the other night. I was like beside myself and he like ordered sushi and we watched Harry Potter. I was like, this is the best day ever. And it's completely platonic. It's,
But just to jump in, so he moved out from being your neighbor. I forget if we said this. This was kind of unclear. The episode where he was running around outside and he was, cowboy hat, shirtless, stripping, all the things. So he just moved out of the next door. This nice girl moved in. You have a new friend, and then he's been staying with you as he's kind of like nomadic.
He's in transition. He lives with me.
Yeah.
So, anyways, back to the beginning of the story. So I was gonna get into the Uber to go to the airport to go to Miami, and he was like, I put some trash by the front door, and he was like, I'll take it out, don't worry. And he got a phone call, and I was like, I just want to take the trash out, and I took the trash out. I went out back and I noticed that the door to the studio is all glass. I noticed it was fogged up and like sort of like water dripping. I'd never seen that before. And I opened the door and it had flooded. Ugh. And I was able, thank God, to like tell my I had to like leave that minute. Like Yonatan and I got the recording equipment out of there and I left. He was like, just go to the airport, I'll handle it. And I was able to call my landlord and get somebody in there. And at least they like took the carpets out and like moved some stuff. And like I think all the time, about like if then, like if Yonatan hadn't gotten that phone call right then, I wouldn't have taken the trash out. He would never have noticed that the studio door was fogged. And then the stuff would have sat in that room for 4 days, door shut. Like,
like we had this big power block on the floor. Yeah. Like that would have been shot.
Yes.
Who knows what would have happened. It would have gone up in flames.
Everything. I mean, all the lights are sitting right in the center of the room, like everything. And I just keep thinking about these moments in our lives, these like tiny little things that happen. I mean, you almost didn't meet your boyfriend. I think about that all the time. If we had just made like one tiny different decision that day, you never would have met him.
I know.
I think about it all the time.
Yeah, like little things like that. Like for me, like something makes me check something. I realize my keys are in the fucking door. Or like, like I try so hard not to leave my keys in the door, but every once in a while. Like little things where you're like, oh, I could have gotten murdered tonight.
Totally.
But something made me go outside and look at this other thing or whatever it is. Yeah, when you meet somebody, you're like, what if I didn't do that thing?
This one.
Yeah.
Just like missed my cab. Yeah. I took the next one. So, I mean, thank God he was there and like he could help like manage that. But yeah, I got back Monday afternoon and everything was just like inches of water in there. It stinks. It's horrible. Tessa was so great. She like came over and emptied everything out with me. And it's just, this has been so horrible and such a nightmare. And like Tessa and I took everything from the studio last night, brought it into the house in the pouring rain.
Oh my God.
It's just, there's just dirt all over my house. It's disgusting. And we didn't box anything up. So there's just shit everywhere. Yeah. But like, I told you, like the small silver lining for me is like, we can make one call and be at Spotify the next day. And like, we have a team that helps us like file insurance claims and Tess is so wonderful. And our friend Rob is so great. And he's been on the phone with me constantly, just being like, this is what you do. Like, it's just nice to be like, I have built this community around me that can help me. And I have a business partner that's going to help me shudder like the weight of it. And like, you just keep being like, I feel so appreciative and thank you so much. And it's really a job for one person. I don't need you there, but like all I want is appreciation. Like you've given that to me. And it's a reminder that you like have built all these things around you. And it's a nice feeling like going into the 6th year of the podcast, feeling like I did do this with you. A lot of people aren't that lucky. They can't deal with a flood like this,
I wasn't able to get there like right away. But I'm like, we just have to like block and tackle. Like I'll make sure we have a studio. Like I'm going to handle the Spotify thing. I'm going to correspond on the emails. You don't worry about like checking things when they come in. I'll like handle it. Like we just kind of divide and conquer and it's nice to have.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time. If I was on this like solo mission, times like this would really bring you down.
Break me.
Yeah.
Literally. I was so angry the last few days and so stressed out. And then our show got rained out in Miami. And I was like, I cannot take one more thing.
Seriously, I know. I know. It was like just a lot. Like it was like the hits kept coming, and it's just weather. There's nothing you can do about it. But it really did fuck up our Miami trip too. And
what a bummer.
But anyway, just to close the loop, close the loop on the studio. Yeah, we're going to figure out what we're going to do. I mean, I think things like this sometimes can be a blessing in disguise. There were some issues with that studio. It was really hot in the summer. Like trying to figure out temperature control was a problem. So there's little things where we would have held on for dear life and this like forced us to make a change. We have things happening this year that we're really excited about that it's still too early to share, but where we might be creating more content and making some changes. And so it might be better for us to just, have a place where we walk in and everything's like set up for us. And we had just such a good run, like we're getting rid of some of that furniture. And I was just like, you can't get rid of that couch. Like I just feel like so sentimental about it. And like, I don't know. It was just like a really special thing for us to build that studio out in New York and have our own space and really, like you would say, like bet on ourselves and, stop trying to piecemeal things together and just like pay for it, set it up, design it, make it our own, and then like bring it all the way across the country and set it up again. And I don't know. I'm feeling like so emotional about it and I'm trying to figure out why. Anyway, I was like, keep the couch. Don't get rid of the couch right now.
I think it's a huge accomplishment. I mean, I hate when people say like the podcast has an expiration date, and I hate when people like suggest that to me. And my dad said this thing to me this morning as I was pulling into Spotify, and he was like, "You guys really have done it. Like you've passed what most people's expiration date is. You started this before people were really in podcasting, and yes, there was hundreds of thousands of podcasts, but there weren't tens of millions.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "You guys have really done it." And it's crazy to me when people say like it has an expiration date because like we really passed that mark, and I'm like really proud of it, what we've done and built, and we can afford all these things. And like, thank you guys for being here. It's never lost on us. We just have like the smartest, funniest, coolest audience. We say this to you all the time. Like you give so much to us of your lives, your money, your time, and man, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
And I'm sad about the couch too. I'm going to save it. It smells, but I'm going to save it.
We'll figure it out. I just wasn't ready. I was like, it can't go. This is like my, Cancer sun, Cancer moon coming out, my like sentimental ass bitch.
No one's more sentimental.
I am so sentimental. That first wine bottle from the first episode we ever recorded. Like I hold on to shit.
It's a good quality. I throw everything out. It's a bad quality. I'm glad that between you and me, one of us is like that.
You kind of a little bit more. But this week, Valentine's week.
6 years ago, we did it.
We did it. We did. I love that we have this holiday that's like love related, that we started this dating relationship podcast surrounding. So it is Valentine's week. And thank you to everybody that bought all of our Vibes Only products to use in and around Valentine's Day, solo or with a partner. And we hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day, of course, however you celebrate it. If you're in LA, I have a show at the Hollywood Improv with Andrew Collin. We're bringing it back, hot and funny, Valentine's Day edition. We did Valentine's Day last year, but Andrew got COVID and you co-hosted it.
I forgot about that.
Remember we did a fucking Girls Gotta Eat show on Valentine's Day. So this is like sort of a tradition, but hopefully Andrew will make it this time and Rayna will be there, of course.
With Andrew's girlfriend, all of our friends.
All of our friends. So there may or may not be tickets left, but Nikki Glazer is going to
so excited to see her
on the lineup, and Ali Makovsky and this guy Alec Flynn. So anyway, if there are still tickets available, you can grab those and come hang out with us on Valentine's Day, and that'll be really fun. And as we record this, we will have just had the Super Bowl that I don't give two fucks about, but anyway, you would have had a party.
I keep looking around my house like, I cannot believe I'm having a party on Sunday.
We need to talk about this after, how I can help you with this like party.
I'm actually fine. Like I feel fine about it. I'm gonna Tessa's gonna come over after we record. We're gonna box up the stuff in the living room. I'm gonna toss the furniture and then just open the windows up, air it out, and it'll be fine. Like I keep looking around being like, this is only a crazy person would do this. Have a party in a couple days, but I'm like, what do I care?
But you're just like, you just keep going. It's like you're
the Energizer Bunny of parties.
Like once something in motion stays in motion or something, like you just gotta keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. I was saying to Melanie, I was like, I'm just told everybody to just like bring stuff and like, I'm not really going to cook. I'm just told everybody to bring their own stuff, basically. Because the Super Bowl is very much like, be creative, bring food over.
Well, right. Everybody's supposed to bring, you're right. This isn't like a catering situation. Everybody brings something.
That's all. And she was like, why are you trying to act like fucking cool girl here? Like, you're going to cater it. You know that you're going to make food for like 30 people and then people will bring it. I was like, you're right. I really am.
Oh
like,
God.
I need all the things. I need to make sure there's like buffalo dip and like pigs in a blanket and all the things are there. And I love to throw a party. So I'm excited.
I can't wait. So I don't care about this fucking matchup. And now it's over, of course. This is going to be like dated, but only by one day. But I wanted Baltimore and Detroit so badly. And then Baltimore lost. And I was like, okay, we still got Detroit. I was in Boston. I was watching the game with Sparkle Eyes. And, Detroit has never been to a Super Bowl. And I love their coach. He played on the team. They have this great story. I'm just like, they're such a underdog type team. I love Detroit. And I was like, God, what a cool fucking story that Detroit would play against the reigning champions, like a true underdog story, their first Super Bowl. I was like so involved. When they lost, Rayna, I was laying there in the dark. Sparkle Ice goes, Ashley, it's just sports. Said that.
And you're like, you didn't grow up here. You don't understand it.
You don't understand. I grew up in 8 Mile. No, like he literally he likes sports too. Like, but for him to tell me, like, I was laying there just in the dark, like almost crying. Like it was the Eagles, like even more so. I like wanted it so bad on such a deep level. Like I just felt for them. I felt for the coach. I love him so much, and literally was so upset that like my boyfriend had to tell me like Ashley, it's just sports. I'm like, who have I turned into?
You root for the
I
underdog.
got so much into the NFL this year, weirdly.
Wait, it's so funny. I don't know if I forgot to tell you this or not. So I went on a date with this guy the other night, and he did everything terrible. I hate him. Like, fuck you forever. That was the worst person I've ever met. I can say his name out. It doesn't matter. He never asked me one question. He doesn't know who I am or what I do. He's no idea, which is the craziest thing. Like, how do you spend your days? Never came up.
Right.
But he was from Pittsburgh, and he did 1,000 horrible things on this date. I hate him. But we're both from Pittsburgh. I was like, I saw you're from Pittsburgh. And he's like, yeah. And I was asking where he grew up. And I was like, so you must be like a big Steelers fan. Because like that's the main personality in Pittsburgh. It's the sports teams.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, actually, I'm an Eagles fan. And I was like, I hate you. You're a psychopath. How the fuck did you grow up in Pittsburgh and you don't like the Steelers? Like, I was just like,
yeah.
And in my head, I was like, Rayna, it's just sports. But I was like,
just sports. Yeah, that is so funny.
I was like, this is a metaphor. I hate you so much. Listen, go Eagles are my other team because they're your team. But like, it's weird to grow up in Pittsburgh and not be a Steelers fan.
That is to grow
Very
up there.
weird.
Yeah. Anyway, congrats to whoever won. We literally don't care. Okay, so I am so excited to talk about Helix, and I feel so passionately about it because I went on a 11-day trip where I slept in 5 different places. And I don't want to do that anymore. And we've traveled so much, but something about this last trip just broke me. And I was like, I'm done doing this. Like, it's so hard to sleep in all those different places and move around and not feel settled. I
can't do it anymore.
So
I'm too old for it.
I know. And like the bed is part of it.
It's a huge part
you
of it.
You never know what you're going to get when you like check in a hotel or you're staying with somebody. Like I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So to come home after that long of a trip and just fall into my bed, fall asleep right as soon as my head hit the pillow, I was just so thankful. And so I just think about my sleep all the time and how much your mattress really matters. So you can just go to helixsleep.com/GGE, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. Use code HelixPartner20 and you'll get 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows. So cannot stress enough how much we love these mattresses. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe collection. I have one of the Luxe mattresses, the newly released Helix Elite, and there's a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, even a mattress made just for kids. Tessa, we just got you the Dusk Luxe. We made sure Tessa, she moved recently and like we got to hook you up. We're a Helix family. So I can't remember if I've told everybody, but I used to have the Moonlight. Now I have the Midnight Luxe, and I think Rayna has a Midnight as well. Sparkle Ice has the Midnight. The Moonlight's a little bit softer. Dusk is a little bit more firm. And you're going to choose whatever you want. If you want a soft, firm, or medium mattress and how you sleep, you'll take the quiz and you'll figure that out. And again, they have these like different levels. There's this most high-end collection, the Helix Elite. But of course, we love the Luxe, and the regular Helixes are great too. Everything they make, we are obsessed with it. There's 6 different mattress models, and they all come with a 15-year manufacturer's warranty and a 100-night trial. And that's really all I can say. Oh, the pillows too. The pillows, I mean,
changed my life.
Pillows matter so much.
I love them so much.
Sometimes these hotel pillows, I'm like, what is this?
That's why when people stay with me, I'm like, you're not ready.
And it's like the nicer the hotel, like the 5-star, it's like those are even the more down, like flat pillows. I have like 3 just so I can have a little bit of like my airway's not blocked.
I fuck with Helix pillows so much.
They're the best. They're so perfect. They're so elite. So you're going to get those when you guys get your mattress. So we are obsessed with Helix. Everybody we know has one of these mattresses. We have made sure of it. So wherever we go, we have them. And Helix is offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/GGE and use code HelixPartner20. This is their best offer with Helix. Better sleep starts now.
And Skims, I mentioned I'm wearing their bras. So they've been a partner for a while. I have like every type of underwear that they make and I love it. But I found their bras recently because they let us like pick a bunch of different ones and I'm obsessed and I can't stop buying them. So I have the Fits Everyone t-shirt bra on right now. It has underwire. And listen, I love underwire. I have big boobs. I've had it my whole life. It's what I prefer. But I also sleep with a bra almost every night, which I know some people think like sounds uncomfortable. But I do find that it has like kept my boobs really perky my whole life. Like I like it, but it's hard to find an underwire bra that's comfortable to sleep in, and this is it. I sleep in it like every night. I sleep in this bra every night.
Underwire? That's crazy.
I know it sounds crazy, but it's so comfortable, and it's just like the straps are really thin, and it's like the perfect plunge. I can wear this under anything. And for boobs my size, it's hard to find bras that aren't like these giant matronly like boulder holders. And
Water holders. Oh my God.
And I love that the straps on this are really thin. It comes in a ton of colors. There's just like neon yellow, there's red, there's every type of like tan, black. It's beautiful. They have tons of sizes. And that's what I love about Skims also, is that they have so many colorways and so many sizes. Like this one I'm looking at right now, it goes up to 46F.
Damn.
So there's so many. I'm like, you guys don't have to go this hard.
Did you see their newest
The Valentine's
ambassador?
collection?
No, Usher.
Usher?
They are never not on top of it.
That's crazy.
Super Bowl, Usher, he's about to start his tour.
That's
like,
what I've been seeing.
I mean,
Yes.
just Usher in my feed and his Skims. Anyway, that's not one of our talking points, but I just had to call it out. I love their bras so much. The thing I found in the past with push-up bras is like the way that they're structured, they kind of cut in. They don't give you that smooth silhouette. You know what I mean? They make you kind of like lumpy. You feel like you have like a bulge under the straps and stuff. And theirs just don't. Like this, I mean, I'm not wearing a bra today, but I could probably wear a bra under this like paper thin bodysuit and still feel like I had like a smooth silhouette and pushed up titties. They make my tits look so big.
So good. Just so good. You're wearing like a skin tight. I have that same turtleneck in black and I wear this under it, and it's hard to put something under it.
Right. Yeah, like this kind of material, like you need
Paper thin.
Skims.
So I'm obsessed. We love all their underwear. There's so many colors. It's great for gifting. I love the Fits Everybody plunge bra also, the Fits Everybody push up, which you mentioned, and there is wireless form t-shirt bras. I mean, they really do everything. They have every size, every color. Check it out. Shop Skims bras at skims.com. Now available in 62 sizes. You guys didn't have to go that hard. 38 to 46H.
Sounds like a joke.
It does sound like a joke. 62. Plus, get free shipping on orders over $75. If you haven't yet, be sure to let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows.
So I have like a list to run through of literal stuff I've been making notes on my phone because we haven't recorded in weeks.
Can I ask you a question about the couch before we move on from the couch?
Yeah.
Be honest.
Okay. Oh my God.
Have you ever had sex on the couch?
Rayna, I knew you were going to ask me that shit. I knew you were going to fucking ask me that, and I was going to ask you. With who? I've never had sex on that couch. Did you? Because if you did, then you lied to me before.
I have never had sex on that couch, and I am so upset that no one has ever fucked on this couch. We've had it for 4 years. I've never even sat on it and made out.
Oh, really?
Oh, who are you making out with on that couch?
You brought your ex up there to the studio.
I've brought a lot of guys in there. I brought Dallas business card guy in there. I brought my ex-boyfriend in there.
Okay.
In LA, any guy I've ever hooked up with has come through that couch.
Come through that couch, not come on it.
My ex-fiance was in there.
Oh my God. Wow, that's a bomb to drop with no context. Come to the live shows, everybody. Yeah, I mean, I did not.
Actually,
if you guys didn't know, I can't remember if we ever said this, but the old New York studio was in my building, but I didn't really ever have anybody I was freaky deaky with to go up there, and I also don't want to disrespect it. Like I kind of was like, I didn't like. Like, what if your man came where I sit?
Well, I would only fuck on my side.
Sits? What if we look over Zul's like licking something? We're like, oh my God,
I would only fuck on my side. I was.
Or you just let somebody come inside you.
Come inside me, always.
Yeah.
I stayed at a Soho house recently. I will not say which one, but there was this green velvet couch, and I was on vacation with this guy, and he like looked at the couch, and he was like, this couch is covered in cum. And I was like, how do you know? And he was like, look at it. There was like white splooges just all over this couch. It was disgusting.
I noticed that in a hotel recently, like on the carpet. I'm like, that's cum. Like, what else would it be?
Of course it is. So yeah, I wanted to ask you. I've never even made out on that couch.
That couch is a virgin.
Yeah. I mean, I bring people in there a lot every time that like every time somebody comes over, I'm like, you got to see the studio because we have all of our Vibes Only stuff in there too. But I've never had a reason to do that, unfortunately.
You think Bobby Westside has fucked on that couch? Because he slept in there a few times.
God damn it.
Who has slept? Jenny, Bobby.
Somebody masturbated on that couch.
Well, one time Bobby was crashing in the studio. I forget why. Oh, they hadn't moved back to New York yet. And we were like, just stay in the studio. It was really comfortable to sleep on. I slept on it when I was transitioning, moving to LA. I slept on it for like 4 nights. It's really comfortable.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, remember I was sleeping in the studio?
Yeah.
And I remember like I had to go upstairs and get something, and like Bobby like didn't know, and he had stepped out for a minute, and there was like McDonald's wrappers, and I was like, oh my God.
Well, he left out a sandwich, and you sent this text, and you're like, hey, did you want to finish that? Or
and then it was a half-eaten McDonald's breakfast sandwich. Almost like, since when does Bobby not finish food? This is jacked trainer. Like he needs his protein. Anyway.
Okay, so no, we didn't have sex. Nobody had sex on the couch.
Nobody had sex on the couch. The couch is a virgin. Okay. So I did this like long trip. I went to Boston first, and I went to first wedding ever with Sparkle Eyes,
That's so
which was
nice.
really so fun.
Yeah, the photos are so cute.
It was cute. You know, it's funny. It was just like, I just love all the people that I met, all his like friends, parents I loved so much, everybody. And everyone was just like very like salt to the earth. And we just like danced and had such a good time. But there was the grandmother of like one of his best girlfriends, who was essentially the one that kind of orchestrated our whole meeting. And, you know, it's a whole long story, but it was her grandmother who's like in her 90s. She's like a boyfriend in his 90s. You know, they're so cute. Met her immediately. She's, you know, shorter than you. She's so small. And
How short am I about to be?
And immediately upon meeting her, she's so sweet. I mean, I'm kneeling down. I wore a heel. I mean, she's got to be less than 5 feet tall. I'm towering over here like 6'2" in a heel. You know, she grabbed my ring finger right away, and she was just like, "What's going on here?" You know, like just made it like, I love a grandma.
They don't give a fuck.
They do not give a fuck. Like, I haven't had a grandma in a minute. And a grandma that just is like, when you get married, like doesn't know how long you've been dating. They know no context. They grab your ring finger and just
They're not on TikTok
make
being
it
told
weird.
this is inappropriate.
They make it weird. I loved it. It was so funny. And she was drinking a Cosmo, which I have been thinking about revisiting Cosmos. Like, I've just like, remember how much I love them and why did we stop drinking them? And I feel like it was like this fatigue from Cosmos, from Sex and the City and everything. We
Cosmo
just stopped
fatigue.
drinking them, but they were so amazing. And so I saw grandma with a Cosmo and I was like, I want a Cosmo. And this place had a heavy pour. I did 2 Cosmos. I was like lit up. Yeah. And so now like I'm back in it.
Cosmos.
They're a perfect drink. They're not too sweet. Like a good one that has, you know, like a good vodka in it and has a nice twist to it. And you get that little crayon. Maybe if you won't get a UTI later, you know, it's preventative.
I do get UTIs. I'd be getting them.
So I'm bringing them back. Like over the summer, I saw Laura out. This is so funny. I was picking up restaurant food to go. She was in there having dinner with her husband and like another couple. And she, this beautiful Cosmo, I was like, let me get a sip of that. And I was just like,
What
I think
color?
It was light pink. I mean, I like them when they have a light pink. I think they should. They have crayon in them.
Like, but you want to see the pink? Like, okay, so get like on
Not
the
too dark.
on like okay, so you know when you get like a
Frosty
mimosa, you're like, I want you to do the medicine dropper with the orange juice, you know?
Frosty pink.
Okay.
Light pink.
Light pink, pale
That
pink.
That, you know.
Me too. If you go past the threshold of pale pink, I'm upset. I don't want it.
So I'm back in my Cosmo era.
Okay.
The-
Say bye-bye to UTIs.
Me and grandma. So the wedding was really fun. A couple other things I wrote down. We really figured out the shower sex on our end.
Okay.
And you really,
I'm so glad.
and here's the hack. You really need something to grab onto.
Yeah, actually, you think?
Well, Rayna, not everybody has the fear of slipping I have. You know, I have a fear of slipping. And
Some things about Ashley, she can't open water bottles, she can't count change. She can't count money,
I can't count
actually. And she's terrified of slipping. She can't go to Portugal.
I have Portugal, those streets are too slippery. I wore a gladiator sandal. I felt like I was going to die. Like, when you were a kid, it was like, no running by the pool. I'm like, who would run by the pool? Like, I have such a fear of slipping. So shower sex always gets, like, Sparkle Eyes and I have hooked up in the shower. We were in the Admirals Club, and we've, like, done other stuff, but we haven't had, like, a full-blown start to finish.
I was just like, if
Sex,
I just could remind you,
penetrative.
while you were in the Admirals Club with us, we had sex
While
while
you
you
were
were
eating
10 feet
soup.
away, eating soup alone.
Our heights are not great, you know, like someone's got to kneel down, like, you know, we're both so tall. So we figured it out.
Actually, be honest,
Was
it a handicap shower?
It was not a handicap shower, but it did, well, maybe, actually.
You guys, Ashley is always in a handicap shower.
There was a point where they kept giving me handicap rooms, and I was like, is there something I don't know?
I feel like you checked something on your hotels.com.
So anyway, it was like a thing to hold. Like, I held on.
Okay.
And I was like, this is fun. Like, I bent over and I held on.
When you were living in New York, you know how they heat the apartments in New York? There's just those poles that get so hot if you touch them, you have to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
Like, you could hold those in the summertime. Did you ever do that? The poles that are like at the side of the window.
Rayna, what are you saying? Just if you want to fuck in your home with something to hold on to? That is hysterical.
So I had one of those next to my bed in my
just
Brooklyn
hold onto the pole.
apartment. Yeah. And if I was like getting like doggy, like I could hold on to that pole, but only in the summer months.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Yeah, you would die.
But anyways, yes,
You'd
polls
singe
are
your
great.
hands,
Yeah.
like Home Alone style.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like we figured it out. We've been on this journey. We're always doing some stuff in the shower,
happy
and we
for
finally
you.
figured out how to like really and how my like phobia wouldn't come in.
I'm
of
so happy
slipping.
for you and Sparkle Eyes.
Okay, so went to Boston, did this wedding, had a really great time, saw some Boston girlies, which, you know, I love our Boston listeners so much. They're just like so elite. And then I went to Delaware and met my new nephew for the first time.
Aw. Okay, rank them.
Hard luck. Yes. Power ranking of my two nephews. Just first and last. We love a hard launch in the Heseltine family.
They don't even announce that they're pregnant.
Yeah,
It's
I love their
hysterical.
style. So he was born, Aaron, he was born in December, right before Christmas, but I was sick and I just didn't ever meet him. And it was chaotic down there. And then none of us really felt comfortable with me being around him when I was sick. So I didn't get to meet him then. So I was like really excited to meet him. And it was so special. I mean, they're making it work, but it is a lot. I
Two
mean,
kids
that
in
other
like
kid, yeah.
15 months?
Yeah, they're close together, but my mom's down there a lot and helping out, and you know, Steph's just so wonderful, and Matt's so great too, and they really like co-parent. But I feel like it's made Matt so close with Jay because he's just in charge of Jay. You know, Stephanie really has to just be with Darren all the
Right.
time, and so it's so cute. You know, we took him to get his first little haircut, and I just
so
feel like they are
cute.
bonding even more than you ever could imagine. Because you know, like one night, me and Matt and Jay went out to dinner. It was just like very cute.
I know, it's so cute. I'm so jealous. My brother did tell me they were going to start trying to have a kid.
Really?
Yeah, the text message he sent was so weird. He was just like, we started trying to have a baby on Tuesday. And I was
That is so funny. Did she have like an IUD?
thanks
Like,
for letting me know you're coming in her. I don't need to know
Yeah.
about this. Yeah, she had an IUD. So I
okay,
guess
so that's
she
what it
got
meant.
that.
So you've
That's what it
removed
meant.
an IUD, and I'm shooting loads inside of her.
Shooting loads.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Well, they live in London, and you know my like greatest dream is that they have like little British babies that have British accents. It's my dream. I
Ugh.
can't wait. Little babies have different accents than their parents.
I don't
it's
think
adorable.
Are they? Will they?
I think so. Because, okay, Ladies of London, I watched that show on Bravo, and like one of the ladies was from America, and her husband like was British, and the babies were all British sounding. They're like, "Mommy."
Yeah, but one parent. They're neither of them.
Well, I'm gonna tell them to just expose their kid more. I'm gonna be so mad if their fucking kid doesn't have a British
need to bring
accent.
in a nanny and don't talk to the kids.
British
Just
au
let the
pair.
nanny communicate.
Oh, God damn it! Don't DM me about this, but I
Do not
feel
speak
like
to your
you're right.
children. Maybe they could start an accent. Okay, and I'll just keep moving through it, and then I really want to get to the stuff that happened in Miami. But Sparkle Eyes and I went to Tampa to see Drake and J. Cole, and I got like a stomach bug, and I puked the entire day in Tampa from like right when we got to the hotel to I puked at Drake. I had to run up. When I got to our seats, I clocked where the bathroom was in case I had to run up. And sure enough, I thought I was done puking, but I was not. And I had to run up those steps and into the bathroom. And like, I was just like, it was bad. I mean, it was just like the force of which I was like throwing up was, I don't know. Maybe it was food poisoning. Maybe it was this like 24-hour bug I feel like people are getting. But whatever it was not great. And I mean, like, thank God it was mid-show. If that would have been like before the show, Rayna, I would have been like so mortified for
know.
everybody to hear that. Like, there was one other girl in the bathroom next to me, so sweet. She was like, "Are you okay, girl?" And you know, of course, everybody thinks I'm just like wasted.
Everybody thinks that, of course.
So I woke up the next day. I felt like weak, but not nauseous anymore. But it was something else. And he was like so great and took such good care of me. But that is like a relationship line to cross where like you're in a hotel so he can like hear it. And
Also,
I was
it's just
oh
like
my God.
we'll do like a long distance relationship episode, but like I feel like when you don't see each other that much, the stakes are so high to like not have your period that weekend and to not be sick that weekend and for everything to go really well. And it's like you put all this like the stakes are just so high to have this like perfect time together.
Yeah.
And it's so disappointing when you're like, I wanted to have more sex and I wanted to have fun. I want to be in a good mood for you. I wanted fun with you. Like you didn't see him for like 3.5 weeks. It was like this longest you guys have ever been apart.
Yeah, before Boston, we hadn't seen each other.
Boston.
It was the longest we've been apart. But yeah, it sucked. I mean, like he got the tickets, and so I booked us at the Edition, this 5-star hotel. Like obviously we didn't have sex, you know, like the most beautiful day of the whole trip in Florida was that day. We were in the hotel room all day. Obviously, I told him he could go out and do whatever he wanted, but he wanted to like take care of me and like just had to lay all day and try to get like enough strength to go to this fucking concert that he spent all this money on tickets. And I didn't want to miss it, you know, and it was like incredible. I almost want to go again when I'm like feeling up to it, but like Drake was incredible. J. Cole was incredible. I was like, I fucking love this. Like, I would put it on
Glad you
par with
pulled it
all
together.
my favorite concerts. So, yeah, I pulled it together. And I was like, please don't puke at Drake. Please don't puke at Drake. The way I
I'm
had
sure other people
to
pooped.
run up, like, the woman at the top with the tickets was like, She's probably thought this drunk slut has to go puke. Come back, like, wiping my mouth. It was not my finest moment, but it was like, for the day, and then got up and we came to Miami and we had a nice little weekend in Miami with, of course, some hiccups, but
Yeah. So our show got canceled. We flew down to do the Infatuation Eats Con, which we've done in Chicago, and they have festivals in New York and LA, and we just know so many people traveled for it, and there was just like a hurricane warning that morning, right? Or tornado warning.
Yeah.
The rain was like torrential, and it flooded the grounds. It's an outdoor festival, and so there's just nothing we could do about it. They are going to reschedule, and we're going to try to be there, of course. But I was laying in bed on Sunday morning, and other Ashley who works for us, I saw her name pop up, and I was like, oh God, what? And she's like, why don't you usually get up before Ashley? And I was like, no, she's up. What's up?
Yeah.
And she was like, they canceled the festival. And I just, oh man. You and I have never canceled a show. We never missed a show. We've never canceled a show.
Mm-mm.
I would say our record is intact because we didn't cancel this. The festival canceled.
Oh, totally.
Hundreds of shows
Absolutely.
we've never canceled.
Yeah.
Never missed a flight. Nothing.
It was such a bummer.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about it. It was like devastating. And then, of course, our show was supposed to start at 4:30. By 4:30, it was perfect sun, which I knew would happen. That happened so much in Miami. It's just like a quick, but like they couldn't set up the festival, so then they had to like make that call. Like, of course, they made the right call, but I was like, we're all frustrated that now it's showtime, and look at this fucking sun. So, but you had an experience.
Okay, I'd woken up. I went out of the balcony, had a towel. I was naked. I'm standing out there. We're trying to figure out what to do. And the festival's scrambling. And they're like, what if we got you an indoor venue? Could you guys maybe do that? And we're just trying to like make all these decisions. And I'm like, all right, let me just go inside and grab my computer. I went to open the balcony and I realized that the arm that stops the door from opening when you're inside had fallen and had locked me out on the balcony. And I was like, oh my fucking God. So I get off the phone with you. I call a front desk. I'm like, I'm so sorry. It's so embarrassing. Can you like send somebody up to let me in? They're like, sure, no problem. So you and I continue to talk. And like, I see that it's about to start raining like really bad. This guy's black. And I'm like, I hear somebody try to get into the room, and I hear that sound of like the latch, and it's just like they're slamming into the door, and I'm like, clearly the latch is on. So I was locked out on the balcony, and inside of the room, I had latched the lock, and I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? It looks so bad outside. I have like 2 seconds to deal with this. The hotel's calling me, and I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And then I look up, and you are standing outside on your balcony looking at me with sparkle eyes.
So, like, we were on the phone, and I'm like, wait, what floor are you on? Like, I was on 8, you were on like 7 or 6 or whatever. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, if we can see her, I'm going to lose my mind. That was one of the hardest I've ever laughed, Rayna. Like, when we spotted you in your towel, and I didn't know you were in a towel. You hadn't told me. And I was like, of course she's naked. Thank God you had a towel. And so I laughed so hard.
I start filming me. And I was like, can you get help? Can anybody go get help?
Listen, like, if there was anything I could have done, I would have done it. But of course I'm going to film you. You would have done the same fucking thing.
You and Sparkle start miming sex on the balcony. I was like, can somebody go get help, please?
Meanwhile, like, the clouds are rolling in. I just, like, the way my, like, stomach sank for you when you told me, like, that the door was latched. I'm like, oh my God, she lives out there now.
I thought that they were going to have to break it down. And then this guy just, like, reached in with, like, a hook and unlatched it. And I was like, oh, of course they have this tool. And then it reminded me that you're never safe. You think that
I don't
you're
like thinking
safe.
about
And
it.
I was like, oh, I'm like, of course a hotel has a tool to do that. People probably latch themselves in those rooms all the time, refuse to come out.
Oh, right.
So, of course they have a way to get in without...
What would that be about?
Not that hotel. I'm like, I'm ready to go. These bathrooms are dog shit.
Okay, Rayna, let's talk about this.
Thank you. It's a watershed moment for
I
me.
need to
I apologize.
She needs to apologize to me. So this is a hotel that we stay in all the time. It's called the Stanton. It's in Miami Beach. It's south of 5th, our favorite neighborhood. And you have stayed there with multiple guys. You had your ex. You had your other ex. I've never...
Every relationship I've ever brought there has ended.
Oh, no.
It's a cursed hotel.
Yeah, I think it is, like, cursed.
Don't
Anyway,
stay there.
great plug for the Stanton. But I've...
Go to the stand and end your relationship.
That's so funny. They start hosting divorce parties instead of weddings. They're like, we'd love to host your divorce reception here at the Stanton. So I never stayed there with a partner. I was always alone, and you were like with somebody else fucking like right down the hall, whatever. So you would talk about like the bathroom door, and the bathroom door is a sliding door, which we hate, but I love it because the guy can't throw a towel on it. So they have to use the hooks. So they have that sliding door, but you would talk about this 2-inch gap And I just thought you meant that your door didn't slide shut all the way. I was like, what is she talking about? And because we were talking about in context of pooping, pooping with your partner, and you were like, but there's this 2-inch gap of, but I was like, what is she talking about? Just shut the door all the way. My door shuts all the way. So I never really understood what you meant or validated your experience. I mean, I believed you, but I was like, maybe she just doesn't know how the door works.
This happens a lot with both of us, where like one person has an experience that is really like not important to them, but it's like a big moment from the other person doesn't understand it. And then 6 months later, are like, I didn't understand when you were going through it, what you meant. This happens to us all the
years
time.
Later. So I'm sitting there on the toilet.
It's like a barn door, like a sliding barn door.
Sliding door.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there in the toilet and the door shut all the way. It's touching the door frame on the other side. And I'm sitting there in the toilet debating maybe I'll take a poop. I'm not that weird about it. I'll run the faucet. I'll go. I don't need to go in the lobby. He does that. I don't really play like that.
I do.
And I see that gap and the door, it does not hit the wall all the way. So when the door is even completely shut, there's a hole, like you can see right through it, just no soundproofing at all. And I was like, I'm sitting in that toilet debating whether to drop a load, and I go, she was right. And in my soul, I felt an apology to you rising up.
It's funny because, like, you hit it well. I never knew that you didn't think that my experiences were valid. I just thought that you were like, I get it, sis.
So all these years, I'm just like, she doesn't know how to shut the door. Like, all these years, I'm like, she doesn't know how to shut the door. She doesn't know how a sliding door works. Like, all these years. And finally, to see that gap, and I was like, you can't poop in here?
This is so funny. I feel like it's one of those moments you're like, I didn't understand it until I went through it, like what you're experiencing. It is a big ass gap. Like somebody can watch you drop a load.
Yeah. If he peeked in, he could just see me.
Watch the dookie hitting the toilet.
Oh my God.
Thank you for validating my experience. I'm
You're
glad
welcome.
that we got there. That's funny because you also never had to shut it. I get it.
Right.
That is so funny.
Okay, we are just going to talk about our remaining partners and then get into it. I am so excited to talk about Nutrafol today and always. I shared recently on the podcast that I was having an issue with my hair months back, excessive shedding and thinning, and it was super upsetting. And this happens to a lot of women for various reasons. It can be internal factors, hormones, aging, environment, whatever it is. So I really turned to Nutrafol and I've committed to it. And I take my 4 capsules every day and I've noticed such a difference. And for me personally, which is not everyone's results, but like I can see it growing back. Like I can see
the little hairs in the front.
I can see these hairs and I'm like kind of annoyed. Like, what do I do with them? But I'm like so happy. Mm-hmm. It's like a blessing to be able to actually see the product working in that way. And of course, everybody's experience is different. But for me, I'm actually like watching it happen in real time. And again, thinning hair is different for everyone. So a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth doesn't cut it. So they have their 5 formulas tailored to your hair's needs. So you can achieve visibly thicker, stronger, faster growing hair in 3 to 6 months. You'll take their hair wellness quiz today to find the formula that's right for you. So on top of seeing the more visible thickness and like my hair changing, just my hair in general feels like longer, stronger, shinier, all the things, just not exactly today. It hasn't been washed in a while and it's just back in like a founding father low pony, but
I like it.
It is. I cannot say enough good things about it. When I was dealing with my hair issues, I talked to, of course, my hairdresser and my dermatologist. Both of them recommended Nutrafol, like top of mind, as it is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement. Over 1 million people seen thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding. And we haven't talked about this in a minute, but the side effects, the positive side effects, like my nails.
Yep.
So I went back to my natural nails. I can't even believe that they are so strong. They feel like the Gel X.
I can't tell the difference, to be honest.
Right.
It's
well, that was
crazy.
the thing. I was like, if I can grow them long, it has to be the Nutrafol. Like my nails have not felt this strong in years.
Yeah.
And you may sleep better and stress less, all due to their natural botanical ingredients. So you can check out Nutrafol. We cannot recommend it enough. You can start your hair growth journey today by taking Nutrafol's hair wellness quiz and get your personalized hair health plan today. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping at Nutrafol.com/quiz when you enter the promo code GGE. Take the quiz and get started on reaching your hair wellness goals with Nutrafol today. Nutrafol.com/quiz. That is spelled Nutrafol.com/quiz, promo code GGE. That's Nutrafol.com/quiz, promo code GGE. Quiz is QUIZ. For anyone who didn't know. They didn't tell me to say that, but I just felt like it.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know how to spell quiz, it's QUIZ. And last but not least, Babbel. The best way to learn a language is immersion and living where the language is spoken, using it every day. But if that is not in the cards this year, which it probably isn't for most people, you can still learn a language the second best way, and that is with Babbel. They have over 14 language courses, so there's tons to choose from: French, Spanish, Italian. There's lots. Go to their website, check it out. And if you're planning on taking any types of trips this year, maybe you want to learn a new skill, this really is just a fantastic bite-sized way to learn a language quickly. They have quick 10-minute lessons. They're designed by over 150 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. I remember taking French in high school, and it was just all they taught us was like collections of verbs and adjectives, and I couldn't like string a sentence together to save my life. I took like 10 years of it.
Yeah.
And so this is really, really helpful in terms of pronunciation, because Babbel is designed by real people for real conversations, and they have tips and tools that are super approachable and simple, so you can pick it up really quickly. They have over 16 million subscribers, which is...
As people who have an app, that is hard to comprehend. That's the
insane.
goal.
They really help you have conversations that are rooted in real life situations. So especially when you travel, ordering, being at hotels, asking for directions, asking for the check, it's just a nicer way to respect people of that culture and speak their language.
Yeah.
So check it out. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners right now. Get 50% off a one-time payment for a lifetime Babbel subscription,
Nice.
but only for our listeners your whole life.
Yeah, they're like, you're going to commit.
Forever.
You're going to be fluent.
You and I aren't even committed for life. We are. But only for our listeners at babbel.com/GGE. Get 50% off at babbel.com/GGE. That's BABBEL.com/GGE. Rules and restrictions may apply. You know what's so cute is this year, we're talking about friendship today. Now that we're an hour into the episode, we're talking about friendship and like evolving and being in different like life stages and feeling like you outgrew them. And I think a lot of times, you know, when a man or just a significant other comes in, you can feel like you're like losing your best friend. But you and I are spending, is this our 7th Valentine's Day together?
Oh my God.
Tomorrow. So we're still going strong.
Is it?
Yeah, either 6 or 7.
Probably 6, because like 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
I never know.
7.
7. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
7 Valentine's Day. We've usually been on the road. We always have shows this weekend.
We're not exaggerating. Like every year we're together on Valentine's Day. Like when we started touring, like we would usually have shows around there, like you said, but like we were starting the podcast in 2018 and touring in 2019 and 2020.
What did you do in 2020? San Diego. We had a show either in San Diego on Valentine's Day or in Los Angeles.
San Diego was first. We missed our flight, our first flight. And then we got in late.
But yeah, we spent everyone together. So this is our 7th year. I'm glad I didn't lose you to your boyfriend this year. I was like, what's it going to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm glad to talk about this topic as we celebrate our anniversary, and also with the context that we met in our 30s. Like, I met you when I was 34.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what's just so crazy. You know, like, I do feel like we are a shining example of that. Of like, you know, a lot of our listeners are younger. Of course, we have listeners of all ages. But I feel like this whole my friends are in life stages is a lot of 20s and 30s, of course, when everyone is all over the place. Truly. You know, people start having kids at 24.
I feel like career-wise, I think people have like zoomed past you and I'm just sort of left behind.
Mhm.
I feel like I was just thinking like, you know, different life stages. Career, I think doesn't get acknowledged enough. But like
Right.
you can look around and feel like everybody has succeeded past me.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
that's
we can
tough
totally
too.
talk about that. I mean, that was completely my story of all through my 20s. Like, I was just like the broke friend to then later become the rich friend, like in a totally different way, because I just chose a different type of path. So I felt behind for so many years. And like, I was the person going to these bachelorette parties and overdrafting my account and just couldn't pay for anything. But I just really feel like up top, that's like the message I want to send of like, it's never too late to make friends. And you should always be on the lookout for potential friends and never think that you're done. And we can jokingly say no new friends, but I certainly don't buy into that. And I think that it's hard when you're younger and you have this really tight-knit circle of maybe they're your college friends, or maybe that they're just this incredible group that you're like, there's no way this will change. There's no way it can change. I'll freak out if this changes. You know, this is my primary solitary group of friends, and they will be until the end of time. And sure, they might be, but chances are they probably won't. And like, that's good. You know, like change is good. And I think it's so important to have different close group of friends. I think I have like 5 legitimately like different separate groups of friends that I like take trips with. You know, like so does my mom. It's like where I get it from. You know, I think it's really important to not put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. I think that as we get older and we sort of like evolve past friendships or they ebb and flow, it can feel like a failure. And that feels like, romantic relationships do end, but friendships aren't supposed to. And like, you feel like, should I have been reaching out more? Like you definitely turn to yourself and say like, what's wrong with me? Why do I not want this like I used to? Or why do I feel left out when that doesn't feel like a familiar feeling to me? And why am I jealous of something that I wasn't previously jealous of? I mean, you hear it all the time. Like, I want to get pregnant, and my friends have kids, and I like can't be around it, things like that. And I think that like there's nothing wrong with feeling like I outgrew this, and I'm in a different life phase. And like you can sit in that and feel a little uncomfortable and more in that, and that feels really bad. But like you and I always say, like friendships ebb and flow, and you can come back to people in the long term. But in the meantime, maybe you do have to find some new friends, and that's uncomfortable too. And say yes to everything and try to fill the holes where like those once were. And that's uncomfortable and sad, and losing friends is like not something I take lightly. It really should be mourned, but it's not a failure because life changes.
Yeah. I mean, we've said friendships ebb and flow a million times in this podcast, like you just said. I mean, I've had periods in my life where I thought there is no way this friendship will ever be the same. Like, there's no way. We have like grown too far apart. No fight or anything necessarily, but just like we're in totally different life stages, and you end up just as close or in a different way close. And like my college girlfriends are the perfect example, and they all just chose a different path than me. I mean, they were all married by 28 and they all have children. And I'm not saying that we're close where we talk every day, but we still take trips together and we still are in communication, and they are all a lot closer separately than me because their kids travel together and they do all these things. Their husbands are friends, all the things. And I don't feel left out, of course. I made like all these other friends in my life and the people that also like live a more similar life to me. But I remember that time, I think I've spoken about this, where I was just sitting, I think it was like someone's shower weekend, baby shower, and like they all pretty much had kids. And I was like sitting there at this table with them, like I can't even relate on any level. And I understand they all had babies. Like that's consuming their lives. And now we've gotten to this place where they still all are married with kids, but like we've come back together and they don't talk about that shit all the time. And it's like we really still can relate to each other. And I feel like closer to them than I ever have been. And I've had other circumstances too with friends where I'm like, I feel this distance. Like, how would we ever get back to being like best friends? And you just like do. You don't always. There's no guarantees. But I say this just to provide comfort to anyone that is like feeling like they're losing a best friend or a group of friends. And I just think like when we talk about making new friends, it's not just necessarily stockpile all the friends in case you lose one, but like almost in a way, like it's easier to accept friendships changing when you don't have all your stock in like one friendship or like one group or like one threesome, like that's when you start to panic of like, oh God, but when you have other friendships to focus on, family relationships, other shit going on, it's not going to freak you out as much.
That's an amazing point. And also like we shouldn't feel beholden to a friendship that maybe is toxic or we've outgrown it for like bad reasons and feeling like you have nothing else in your life. So it is a good point to like always be trying to like manufacture and have new friendships, not just like when we need them all of a sudden. I know that feeling where you're like, I just have 4 good friends. And if like 2 of them drop off, like what do I have left?
Right.
But like, I think a lot of times the thing that bonds you to a person is no longer present. And like children, like now your friends are mothers, and that is the thing that's going to bond them to other people. It's the biggest thing in their life. And maybe what bonded you together was like going out and partying late night, or late nights just having wine on the couch, and like that's no longer present. But like it can come back around. It's sad. It's a hard like pill to swallow that like we just don't gravitate towards the same things anymore. Most of my friendships I felt like that about have come back around.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay to like acknowledge that and sit with that for a minute and really start to like find some other friends in the meantime. Yeah. That's easier said than done.
And even just reframe or strengthen other friendships. Like this is this thing I talked about with a friend of ours where you can really strengthen another relationship that you hadn't prioritized in a certain way before. Like I love to watch friendships change like that in my own life and other people's life. Like I'm amazed sometimes. Like someone who you thought was like a casual friend, you never really thought you'd be that close with. Like sometimes all it takes is like a few solo hangs and they can become like a best friend if you really put some time and effort and openness into it. I like love to see it. It's not everyone's experience, but it certainly has been mine and yours. And I think there's like 2 sides of this. I think that we're hearing from a lot of our listeners that feel more of like the left behind, maybe of like, I feel like I'm the last single one or the last one without kids and everybody's moving on without me. I haven't bought a home yet, or my career's not where it needs to be, like whatever facet of life. But I also feel like that first friend feels this, the first friend that gets married and has kids without everybody else. Like that can be really isolating and lonely too. And then you feel like you're missing out. you're the first one that like settled down. Like that's hard too when I want to acknowledge that. And when I think of like my group of like Corey, Laura, and Lee, you know, those like 4 friends, which now you're a part of that group too. Corey's the only one that has kids. And I feel like there's been these moments where she's like, can someone else fucking have a kid? You know, like she feels like the outsider in that way. You know, like we're all down in Miami and she's got her 3 kids, you know? So it's like, I want to acknowledge both sides of it because I would not want to be that first one. Especially in your 20s, everyone else is still just like traveling, doing all this fun, crazy stuff. And, you know, even if you're living a little bit of a chaotic life, you're trying to figure your shit out, like to be the first one to kind of settle down, I'd be like, damn, this sucks.
I know. And you really get a lot of FOMO in that book, Everything I Know About Love.
Yeah.
By Dolly Adder. Yeah. She talks about how her like best friend got married really young and she really felt like she lost her and that she's just like settled down with all of her married friends now. They don't have the same life anymore and like how painful that was. I had a hard time getting through it.
I just got chills. Thank you for bringing that up. This is the best example in a book that I've ever read about this.
It was hard for me to read it.
It's honestly the like most poignant part of that whole book is all about her friendships and really that best friendship. It's a collection of stories, but that's like this thread that weaves throughout that like really makes you emotional with her. I'm gonna get emotional talking about it. You guys should really read that book, Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I'm gonna pick up her most recent book too, but like
it reminded me of Me and You, and like people have asked me so much over the last like 8-9 months, like how does it feel that she like has this person and you don't? And like do you like people say it really nicely, but like do you feel like you've lost her? And like I don't feel like that, but like our relationship has changed a little bit. There's this other person in your life, and I do hear from you marginally less. And certain things, he's gonna take care of you for those things. Now I'm not, and I feel really like lucky that you picked somebody that I'm so close with, and I think that that can really like make you feel better. But I think you and I are in that phase where you feel like I'm the single one and she has this person and like I don't have it and I want what you have, and I've never felt like you like loved me any less, and that's really special. And I've been thinking about it a lot, and that book really like made me think about that too. I was like, why am I having a hard time reading this? And I was like, oh, because it's like my experience. But I think that we're in business together, so we're always gonna like talk constantly. And I think
we're like older, we're more mature, we're more equipped to handle it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a real blow in your 20s.
It is. And even like I still feel like emotional about it. And in the book she sort of talks about like I realized somebody else was like in charge of her heart now, and just like accepting that.
Episode in this like random studio.
And I was like talking to Melanie about it when I was in Miami a little bit, and I was like, you know, there's this other person in her life now. And Melanie was like, well, you know, it's normal as you get older to prioritize your partner, and your partner is the person that like you spend all your time with, and that's normal, that's natural. And I was like, it is, but like Ashley's just like been this thing in my life, like that's the number one teammate always. And like you have another teammate now, and he also doesn't live here, so that's great for me.
Yeah.
And I still think that like you and I talk constantly, but I don't know what the lesson is in this. It's just, it was like a little hard for me to get through, and I was like checking with myself, like, is this hard for me? Is this bad? But you also don't make me feel like stupid for being single, like you never would. Like I think that it's tough when you have those friends that like they get into a relationship and they start saying shit to you about like suddenly they're an expert in relationships, they've been in one for 5 minutes,
right? And
I think that that's like really tough, and feeling like your friend doesn't prioritize you anymore. And I don't feel like that about you, and I feel like lucky that I don't. And like you said, we're older, we're also in business, you can't escape me. But the dynamic has shifted, and I understand feeling like I don't like my friend's partner. It's like really hard. I like your partner and I love you, but
you couldn't be like a better friend about it. I mean, it is just like there's never an ounce of even like annoyance or resentment or anything. If you like, you're willing to like work around my schedule to see him. Like, I don't know. You're just like, you couldn't be like a better friend. And I don't know. I'm like so emotional today. I don't know what is going on, but I just like really want you to find somebody too. And you know, I know you will. And like, I'm not trying to like drive that home, but you know, he and I actually had this conversation recently about how you just are talking to people less. Like he was saying that like he feels like he talks to his mom less because he used to call her and now he calls me, and you know, he's aware of it, but like it can't not happen. Like if you bring a romantic partner into your life as someone who was like single before. That's the thing. You have those girls that always have a boyfriend, so you always know what you're going to get. You know, they're always coupled up, so their amount of time dedicated to you kind of stays the same. They end one relationship, they get into another. Like that's who they are. That's their homeostasis. As someone who is single a lot, and like we've had this relationship and the relationships I have with my other friends, like things have just really changed. I have like a whole nother person that's like a huge part of my life. So he just does like take up time of like talking,
Yeah.
and I'm talking to him about stuff that maybe I talked to you about before, and I don't really feel like our relationship has shifted and our closeness or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
no.
you can't really avoid it, and I want to be more aware of it too. And you don't know so much when you're in it, and then you have friends that are feeling neglected, and they're like, but you've changed and this has changed, and you're like, but I'm so happy and I have my boyfriend, and you don't see it when you're in it. And I think that's also where you need to, if you're the person that's feeling kind of neglected or your friendship has changed, you could absolutely have this conversation and have it really gently without being accusatory, but like you have to give people some grace too.
Mm-hmm.
And we hear this all the time. I mean, friends that are like two peas in a pod, girlfriends running around dating, like that one gets a boyfriend, it changes like drastically. It can
Does.
really hurt.
Yeah, it really can. And I feel lucky that I have all these other friends here, and I have what you said, like spending more one-on-one time with other people. Like,
Mhm.
I think that you and I do so many group hangs, so it is really important to me to like single out some of those girls. Like, I have just spent like a lot of one time recently with like Jackie and Anne, two of our girlfriends, and
Yeah.
like it's really strengthened those relationships. Nobody's ever gonna replace you, but I'm like, you have this other person in your life that's taking up more time, and so I have tried to like fill my time a little bit more with like my single girlfriends I'll go out with a little more. And I think it's important to like maintain the old one and still try to like grow new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like think about what your friends, what they bring to your life and the stuff you guys discuss and what you bond over. Like I think that somebody's getting this like I'll never have that with somebody else, and like you will. Like I had a falling out with a friend a long time ago, and it was like she was my friend that I always like talked about music or whatever with, and like now I talk about that with another friend. Like I'm not saying that people are replaceable, but you can bring more people into your life, strengthen those relationships, prioritize them, find things about them you didn't know, and like really have friendships with them you may have never expected if you just had been so focused in on like those few other people.
I like that you said like solo hangs. And I think it's like, it sounds like duh, but like I really find a lot of value in like
Yeah.
one-on-one
Yeah.
interactions with women. And like I encourage myself to like share a little bit more about myself and don't make it so surface and like ask a lot of questions. And I think that like women are really good at deepening relationships with each other because
Yeah.
like you'll really share a lot. Like it's funny, I was talking to Jeremy and he was like, we're talking about friend fights. He was like, well, men just have like an argument and it's just over the next day and you say like, whatever, you just dab it up and you're fine. And I was like, okay, well, women's relationships are a little more tiered than that. They're a little deeper than that. So you're not just going to fist bump and everything's cool. But the nice thing about women's relationships is they do feel like deeper than like male relationships. Listen, I guess some of you have deep male relationships. But
Yeah, if you feel like that you do.
yeah,
I'm sure you do.
I'm sure you But like women, I think are able to like have these really deep relationships by sharing things with each other. Like I have friends that I bond over like a broken engagement with. That's like a unique experience. And I encourage myself always to just share a little more about myself to like deepen the bond with maybe a new person.
Yeah, and like find those things you connect on, like, oh, like she loves Beyonce. Like, let's, you start sending each other like memes back and forth. Or this person is obsessed with the Shade Room comment section like I am. Like you find things to like bond over that you relate on that you may have not thought about before. And something I wrote down is like when you feel like everybody's moving on without you or they have what you want, like I think it's really important to think about what you really do want. Like, do you really want those things? Like, do you really want the marriage and the house and the kids, or do you like want this career? You can have it all, but I'm saying like I think it's a gut check on this stuff is always important because you may be feeling left out or feeling left behind, but you don't even want those things anyway.
Right.
You just think you're supposed to. So it's always so important to surround yourself with people that like also have like shared common goals and want to do the same things as you. Like my college girlfriends, that's a perfect experience. I never felt left behind, and we all, went our separate ways after college for the most part. But like I very much could have when it's just like another wedding. There's 7 of us. It's like, like I said, by the time we were 28, all of them were married. These 6 girls, I'm like the single at the wedding, at the final wedding of all of them, honestly. So I just think, do you really want this? And if you do, that's great too. I think that also comes down to what we talked about with Elise Lunan and her citing Lori Gottlieb of like, what if you're jealous of something, think about why. And someone wrote that in our question slide of like, how can I be happy for my friends when they have something that I want so much, and I think that's so layered of like everyone around you is getting the stuff that you want, and how can you like be happy when you want it so deeply and you're feeling left behind and you're feeling single and lonely and all this stuff. But I just think when everyone around you is getting something that you want. It just means you're closer to it. It's like means it's a good thing. It should inspire you. Shouldn't feel out of reach. It's like these are all the closest people to me. They're all falling in love and doing this stuff. Like that means like it should be coming.
I like that advice. And I think you can start to emulate some of the decisions that those people made. Like those people can be role models to you. Like how do they get this type of relationship? And also maybe you don't want that type of relationship and you're like, great, well that's more inspiration for something I don't want.
Right. Yeah, do you even want that? Like we always say that, like all these relationships, like I don't even want that relationship.
I don't want most people's relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't be for me. I'm happy for them, But I think that being in different phases of being friends, I think it's really hard to feel like I've outgrown this friendship and I've outgrown other people because it feels kind of mean. You feel a little mean-spirited, feeling like, do I have a superiority complex? Did I feel like this? And I think this can happen a lot. Definitely when you're the first one in a serious relationship and all your friends are like partying and the thing that bonds you no longer exists. Or you see that a lot with people that stop drinking and don't party as much. You just feel like I've outgrown everybody around me. And it can feel a little elitist internally. And you sort of stop making plans and you distance yourself. And I think that like it can, for the person that you're distancing yourself from, it can feel like quicksand because they keep trying and like you're not really engaging. And it's tough, but I think it's okay to outgrow each other. And it's really painful. And I lost a very close friend this year. She's still alive, but she's somebody that was like family to me. And I think about her every single day. And I think about every single little inflection point of fights, like these little jabs at each other and everything over the last year and a half that we like both did that like I was mad about and I never said anything about it. And like I never gave her the opportunity to like defend herself or to not defend herself, to stand in her own ground and say, yeah, I meant to do that. Like I didn't really give her a lot of opportunities and she didn't necessarily give me them until it was too late. And I like really mourn that. I feel really sad every day. Like I told you yesterday, I think about her every day. And she was like family to me. I don't take it lightly, but I do sort of feel like maybe for the time being we've outgrown each other and I have to like I have to feel like I tried every single thing I think in my power and I've learned from it. Unfortunately, I've learned a lot of lessons from it. And that's the only thing I can really take from it is that like I won't let things get this bad next time. I'll say how I feel next time. I'll draw boundaries. I won't just make somebody feel bad and not know why they're being made to feel bad. And I hate that she's like this lesson that I have to learn because she's this wonderful person. I love her so much, but like I don't know if we can be in each other's lives anymore. And I hope that's not forever. I do.
Yeah. I feel for you with that, of course, and know all the ins and outs of this, but like you could come back around or not. You never know. Like at the end of the day, it hasn't been that long. Falling out with a friend feels like weeks, feel like months feel like years. But at the end of the day, you could come back and friends come in and out of our lives and they're not all forever. And we've said before, friendships run their course. I had a falling out with a friend that I was friends with for not even really, well, I guess it was falling out. It was a weird situation. She came at me, but I had been feeling like I outgrew the friendship. It felt kind of like we weren't relating on things and our life was so different and our values and politics felt really misaligned and it just kind of all blew up a little bit. And I don't feel like you. I have never missed her since. That sounds harsh to say, but it's like the friendship was like kind of over. It's almost when you hear married couples divorce that had just the marriage had been over, they'd been separated, it just was like the finality of it. But that friendship just ran its course and that happens sometimes and you don't need to beat yourself up about it. Again, we crowdsourced this topic on Instagram and we have so much more we want to cover and we want to do a whole deep dive on like friendship breakups too. You guys really want us to speak about that again. We can talk more about it, but just the outgrowing, like I could feel people's like guilt or like you said, like I feel like an asshole, like I feel like a brat saying this, but I kind of feel like I've outgrown this person and they're a childhood friend. Your parents could be friends, like all of that. And how do I deal with it?
Yeah. I mean, it felt like her and I were in this like terrible figure eight of like she felt really judged by me and I was being really judgmental. That's not incorrect. And I feel like we were both trying to like understand the other person and maybe for the time being like our interests didn't align and I think she was sick of feeling judged by me and I was sick of maybe feeling like I'm in situations I feel really judgmental of and it's not fair to either person to stay in the relationship and be unhealthy for each other because I don't think she wanted to feel like her best friend was judging her all the time and I didn't want to feel like judgmental of this person who I really love and think is just like the best person in the world. And sometimes you just have to like step back and maybe I wish I would have addressed it and stepped back a little sooner or admitted how I was feeling. I don't know. It's hard to say to somebody like, I don't like what's going on here. And you and I have had a lot of situations where like I can say I don't like this situation, but I'm not mad at you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I was almost like mad at her as a person, not like each individual situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have done a better job at expressing that.
Mm-hmm.
But until it got so bad that I was just like not being nice ever. But I think that it's not fair for both people to stay in it because you both like kind of deserve better.
Just because you have history or
Yeah.
whatever the reason you may feel as your personal circumstances. But yeah, I mean, it felt like a classic, like outgrowing different stages of life kind of stuff.
Very different
you
stages of
know,
life.
like,
Yeah.
and you find that, I mean, again, like your 20s and your 30s are like all over the place. You know, people are getting married and settling down and buying homes and having kids in their 20s. Some people aren't even considering that till their 30s. People are well into their, I'm 40, I'm, not married, no kids. Like, their careers are all over the place. People get right out of college and they just go into a career and that's where they stay. And other people just, they feel like they're floundering forever. And then one day maybe they hit it big or maybe they don't. And, they're still living at home and you just feel there is no consistency. And someone had wrote on Instagram, like, there's this friendship shift in your 30s that no one talks about. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in your 30s. I mean, people say there's a real shift in life at 27 and whenever it is, but it can feel like you don't know where you're supposed to be and everyone is in a different stage.
Yes.
And people are moving, and things are changing. I just think that like change and discomfort will lead you to growth if you let it. Like you were saying, like a lot of this is like sitting in the discomfort, seeing a relationship for what it may be. And like maybe it did run its course and you have all these other relationships to strengthen. You have all these other good things in your life and things you can put focus on, but things just change.
Yeah. I like what you said because I try to not have experiences in my life that are just all negative. At least I'm like, what was the lesson here? And like, I hate that she has to be a lesson. And maybe it isn't that we outgrew each other. We are very much in different life phases right now. And I think that like all I can learn is to just like do better. And I can acknowledge like I didn't handle a lot of situations well. I wasn't kind. I wasn't empathetic. I wasn't that open-minded. And certain things I wouldn't change at all. Certain things I would be able to stand in my ground and say, I don't like this. Take it or leave it. Be friends with me or don't. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what else, but I hate that this person has to be a lesson, but I guess I can hopefully be a better friend in the future to like other people and maybe one day we'll circle back.
Yeah. My experience with you has always just been like a great friend. So it's like, I can't relate.
Thank you.
I can't imagine it was your fault, but that's just me.
Nothing's ever my fault.
Yeah.
I think that,
I love that you take responsibility.
Also, what I learned through this is I am a different friend to different people. I think different people ask different things of you. And there's some friends that like really ask a lot in terms of emotional support. There's friends that don't ask anything in terms of emotional support. And the ones that don't ask anything in terms of emotional support, you have to remind yourself to check in with those people too. And just because they're not asking for something and they're low maintenance doesn't mean you should treat them as such. And it just reminded me that you are like kind of every relationship's different. You are a different friend, each person. And like I said, some of my friends would be like, I've never heard her raise her voice. This person would say she lit me up and started screaming at me like a crazy person.
Right. Yeah.
So everybody experiences you in a different way. And I'm like learning that too. Like I didn't even realize like how I show up differently in different friendships.
Yeah. And a topic that came up a lot was one-sided friendships. And I think we want to deep dive on that at a later date too. That came up over and over and over. And like feeling like you give someone like more support or you celebrate them more, or you ask them more questions, you don't get it in return. And I've talked about that with Sparkle Eyes as well. Like I think obviously men have a lot of the same shared experiences. They're not like a totally different breed, but like that happens in every type of friendship and relationship, family relationships, all the things. I think that like, when you talk about being in a different life stage of a friend and, certainly the friend that you had a falling out with is younger and I really saw a disparity in the way that you guys were choosing to live your life. And that's not a judgment call, but you were living like different types of lives. And I think that like you have to just meet friends where they're at sometimes. And this comes down to a friend that could be, again, married, kids. I think friendships are really like a seesaw. And like sometimes you're up, they're down, you're giving way more, they're giving less. You hope it all balances out in the end. You don't want a one-sided friendship, but there are times when you're like, I'm the one checking in on you all the time. I'm coming to you more. I'm having to show up for you more. It's like, I don't know, do they just have a kid? That like takes over your whole fucking life. So I think you have to give people grace too, but do a gut check. Don't just give and let someone take. Like I want to be clear. I'm not saying you should. If someone's listening to this and they're like, I'm always on the hook, like that shouldn't be how you should feel. But I think sometimes you do just have to meet someone where they're at a little bit. Or when we talk about someone that's still in their party phase and you've kind of moved on from that, like figure out what you do with them now if you want to salvage the friendship. I mean, if it's a friend that you used to just party so hard with and get drunk with and you still want to maintain the friendship, but you don't do that anymore. I mean, can you guys go out for coffee? I mean, can you do something different? Can you like just go to dinner? Can you just meet up and hang. I think that realizing how you can like meet people where they've changed is important too.
Definitely. And check in with yourself and say, like, am I contributing enough to this also? Like, I had a friend say to me the other day, like, I feel like I don't talk to you as much now that you moved. And I'm glad she said it because I was like, I really have fallen off a little bit. I moved to a new city. I've lived in 2 places in my whole life. I've moved to a new city. I have a whole different life out here. I'm trying to like make friends and acclimate here. And I have let some of the things fall by the wayside. And I realized like I have to at least meet people halfway if I expect them to like keep reaching out and ask questions about my life. Like it was a moment where I was just like, okay, I don't try as much maybe sometimes because I'm very just like in my own head of like making LA home, making friends here. It's hard. I don't talk to my brother as much anymore. We're on a 9-hour time difference and he goes to bed at 8 p.m. If I want to talk to him, I got to call him at 9 a.m. I hate it.
Right.
But the alternative is to like not really have a relationship. So like sometimes you do just have to try a little bit harder. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's annoying. But like I had to call him at 9 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, I mean, but like there'll be a point where maybe you'll have to try harder with you. I think sometimes we're like, I'm the one putting all the effort and like don't get taken advantage of. Don't just be a doormat. But like there could be a time in your life when you're going to need them to show up for you and them to put in all the effort. Like life goes back and forth. I mean, there's times when, especially when people are building a family or whatever in their career, that they just like don't have the capacity and you need to show up for them more. And like, hopefully they'll do the same for you when it's your turn. So I just think it's also always worth a conversation. And again, non-accusatory, non-angry way. Like if you really feel like your friend is moving on and you're upset about it and you want to talk about it and you feel like they're oblivious to what's going on, like those conversations can be really impactful if you approach them the right way and approach them with love and like, I just miss you and I just miss what we had. Is there a way we can kind of work on this? Like I understand where you're at, but this is like how I'm feeling and I want to preserve this friendship.
I mean, I've said this so much over the years. Like I've never broached those conversations and regretted them, but I sure as shit regret not having them. Like I could have fixed this friendship maybe at so many different inflection points if I was just like, hey, I don't like this. I don't like how you're being. But I didn't do that. And I'm not going to shoulder all responsibility here. She did her own stuff too. And I think she knows that. Like we both contributed here. But like I at least know on my side of the street, I could have swept the street a little better.
Yeah, I think all of this is like reflecting on yourself, but not being too hard on yourself either. Your friends might be assholes and they might have just be neglecting you and moved on without you and don't give a fuck. And they might be on their high horses with their partners, their husbands, or their kids, their jobs or whatever. So, I mean, I think it's just like taking a realistic look at it and realizing like what you can do and what you can't do. And change can be really good. You could feel panicked, you're being left behind, or your friends are in different places than you, but that really could force you to make new great friends, excel at work, pick up a new hobby, strengthen relationships with family, find a romantic partner, whatever it may be. And you would look back and be like, God, if I had just been like head down, obsessed with my friend group, and that was all I cared about, I never would have tapped into this other thing.
Yeah. I feel like recently I've been saying like 2 things can be true at once. Like it's not easy for me or comfortable to like sit in sadness. I'm very much like, let's identify the issue and let's fix it. I don't like to like sort of wallow in feelings, but like it's okay to sort of sit there and acknowledge like I'm sad. I miss this friendship. My friend found a better job. They found a partner. They found that kid. Like you can mourn that and feel sad and also at the same time be trying to make it better. Like you could do both things and you could acknowledge it and like honor how you feel and still try to like push forward at the same time. Because I guess sometimes I get caught up where I'm like, well, if I let myself sit here and be sad, then I'm not moving forward. I'm not trying to do anything new or make anything better. You can be sad your friend had a partner and also start dating. I always think if I give myself space to feel sad that I'm not going to do anything about this. And I've just tried to like get a little more comfortable in like both things. And I don't know, I like what you said, maybe you can just be inspired by the people around you. And man, it sucks losing a friend. It's so hard. It's like the worst thing in the world, but like, maybe that's an opportunity to get something else in your life. And they could come back around.
Yeah, I mean, people leave your life, or if they don't leave, they're a little more distant in which they're creating space in your life for something else. we're not just like done at 22 with our friends from college and like this is how life it's going to be. I hate to break it to you if you're like a younger listener and you're like, what are you talking about? I can't imagine anything different. Like, like things just change and like people come and go and jobs come and go and romantic partners come and go. And like that's just like what it is. And whatever you may look up to us for, like this friendship, I think is the number one thing. And like finding each other later in life, just in our 30s. That's not even late, but building this career, in our 30s. And I think that it could be your 40s, it could be your 50s. I mean, I think my mom met one of her very best friends when she was late 50s, early 60s, and she was in her 30s, 40s. Like they have a huge age gap and they're still like lifelong friends. And, I know so many people with stories like that. It's just never too late.
No. I mean, I think about my bridal party at 28, and there's only one person that I had in that bridal party that would be in it today, and that's Melanie. But like, it would be so many other people today. And I outgrew some of those friendships. And my friend Courtney is a good example of somebody I didn't outgrow, but she lives across the country. She has 2 babies. She's married. We've just lived different lives, and we don't talk as much. But like, I still love her very much. When I see her at our shows in Portland, that's great. But like, that would have been like my main bridesmaid. And life is different now, but that's okay. And she's still in my life in a different capacity.
Yeah.
And I love that too.
Yeah. So don't freak out, everybody. You're on your own path.
Yeah.
Figure out what you want.
Well,
and what you don't want.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for an amazing 6 years. Yeah. And thank you to Ashley for 6 years.
Thank you to you.
Everybody who's just been here for the ride. We've really lucky. We have a great team. We have great advertisers. We have great people that inspire us around us all the time. I can't believe how many friends we've made through this. I feel so lucky.
Yeah.
I love it. And thank you guys just really for everything.
Yeah. This has been a dream. Every year it doesn't go unnoticed that we got to do this for another year, and we're going to keep doing it. And we have exciting things coming. And I hate to be that, like, big things happen kind of bitch, but for real. And the couch is still here.
Somebody could have sex on it.
The couch might still get fucked on by the end of 2024.
I'm going to go ask the contractor to finger me on it as soon as I get home.
And moldy, wet couch. And we hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day. And now I'm just rambling, but we love you guys. And of course, you can find us at girlsgotteat.com, Girls Gotta Eat Podcast on Instagram and TikTok, and vibesonly.com, Vibes Only on Instagram. And I'm going out of order, but our personal handles are Ash Hess and Rayna.Greenberg. And subscribe on YouTube, share this episode with a friend, all your friends. And
the ones you've outgrown.
Yeah, the ones you want to dump, and this is your way to tell them. And we'll see you next week.
Have a great week, guys.
Bye.